Item number 9, under new business, we have first reading general safety and aesthetic standards for buildings.
Right, there'll be two very similar ordinances before you this evening. One is specifically targeted towards buildings. The other one is very similar, but it also has some specificity in there that deals with only manufactured housing, for example, skirting and some of the other issues that are involved in that.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to take responsibility for pushing this, but I also have grave reservations about it, and especially after reading, I think I sent all of y'all a copy about the code enforcement officer that went to a woman's house and went back to her bedroom and told her to get up out of bed to sign the ordinance, the violation. And I could see that happening in Jasper County as well, or any county.
Jasper County, I could see him getting shot for doing that.
Well, but here's some things I just want us to discuss, and I can't go along with how this is written, and I'm going to tell you why. I've gotten lots of comments, number one. But number two is, I'd like it to be for rental property and not for somebody's primary residence. Not to say that that's not good, but rental property is different in that they're making money off these people and not providing them a decent place to live, in essence. So I'd like it to be for rental property, but instead of going through all these things, like if there's a crack in the sidewalk, this is going to be subjective to how big is the crack, how long's the crack been there. There's some other things here like windows. If the caulking around them has cracks and holes in them. Caulking around my windows have cracks and holes, I can tell you.
I can tell you what's driving some of the specificity of Section 8 standards.
Okay, but wait. So, but my thing about this is, instead of going into all this detail like this, I want to know what y'all think about this. Basically, what I think we need is something that we don't have too much subjectivity with, and just say, it has to have doors. It has to have windows, meaning windows without broken windows, It has to have running water, and it has to have electric, and it has to have indoor plumbing. If we can just do basic things like that, and you're not getting into details, and maybe even something like the roof can't have big holes in it. So, but if you go into some of this stuff like this, like the exhaust vent and the foundation wall can't have a crack. My house is 4 years old. I got a crack in my foundation. And it's just because it happened one year when it was so hot. So, I just need what y'all think about it. I think some of this is going to cause us a whole lot of trouble.
I've had a lot of comments in District 5. All of them have been against the passage of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's been some that said maybe on a rental house, but not on people's private residence.
Right.
My thought is that most of these things are planning and zoning issues, which would be on new construction. You would certainly want to make sure that a bedroom had a window as an escape if there was a fire. You'd want to make sure that some of these things were done. I'm just not sure that this is necessary for Jasper County at this particular time, unless it is restricted to rental business producing homes.
Right.
That is my thought on it right now.
Mr. Chairman, one other
Yes,
thing
ma'am.
is, of course, anybody that's been, again, through rolling with Cove and Alcova Shores, I hate to keep picking on that area, but the area has gone down. The sheriff even told us when we first started discussing this, if we could do something about the situation up there with those rental properties, as we know, you rent it and it gets worse, and you rent it and it gets worse, and you got people living in houses without windows and doors and everything else. And if there was something that could handle that, when the guy's making, every time they do, they put a $400 deposit down, and then they pay so much a month, and they move out in 2 months, and then the next person comes in and it gets worse and worse. And so I don't know what the answer is, but I think what we got here is something that is going to be, just like the exterior should be free of loose or rotting boards or timbers, and the exterior siding should be free of rot and rust, it must be uniform in appearance. Well, what if one of the boards is loose and it's not uniform in appearance? You're gonna have a code enforcement officer that can go out there and cause more trouble than we want.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I agree with comments of the other commissioners in general. On a broader framework, this is a tough issue because you've got two competing imperatives. One being the need to have government regulation when you've got substandard housing, and the other being the feeling in the United States among most people, including me, that government should not be intruding within our lives unless it's absolutely necessary. That's part of our liberties. So, the long and the short of it is, I think this needs to be reworked. I think your idea about bringing it into planning and zoning for additional work and for additional modification and for public hearings, I think is a good one. If the public supports this, then with modifications, and I'm going to be totally for it, because I think there are some areas of the county that are deteriorating and have substandard housing, and we need to do something about that. On the other hand, we don't want somebody coming in the middle of our house in the middle of the night telling us we got a leak in our roof, and they're gonna fine us if we don't fix the leak. I mean, it's my responsibility to fix my leak, not somebody from the government coming in and telling me to fix my leak. So, again, I think your idea about bringing it to planning and zoning, having it thoroughly vetted, having public hearings, having people actually get involved in the derivation of this, I think by the time it comes back to us from planning and zoning, it'll be something that people will support.
My understanding, this wasn't planning and zoning though.
There's safety in here, but I read it over. It seemed to me that you could go to them if they wanted to take it. I think they probably, if we had it.
To me, I think it's a planning and zoning issue.
Well, last time our attorney said that it was not a planning and zoning issue, and it would be under some other section.
Individually send comments on these standards to the county manager, and the county manager revise the minimum standards under item 1 and item 2 per those comments, if there's a common thread.
And the caveat to that is I will send those all out to you in Word format.
Yeah.
You all can handle now.
Yeah, and that's.
Do you need that on the thumb drive, Commissioner Patrick?
I'm going to need a second. That's what I'm going to need.
I can, you can send it to me in Word. You talking about just this here? You can send it to me in Word.
Need a second.
Okay, each board member individually send comments to the county manager to be revised.
Correct.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Bernard that this will be sent out to all commissioners, and you'll notify the two that are not present, that this will be sent out to all commissioners to make comments and suggestions and send it back to the county manager. I have a second by Commissioner Patrick. Any further discussion? All those in favor?